Hey, what's up, guys? Bear with me here. Doing videos and things like that. Not exactly my thing. But this did seem like a pretty good way to get some information out to you guys on how to handle some more specific issues that you might run into out there. So today we're just going to be starting with roach control. We're specifically talking about German cockroaches today. So let's just get right into it. Let's see here. All right, so first off, just kind of reading over that in regards to identification. That's what a German roach looks like. Not really going to read through that, just going to let y'all kind of read that, and then we're just give you a moment with that. So let's discuss behavior. German cockroach behavior. First, we got German cockroaches have a phenomenal rate of reproduction. How true that is. One female cockroach, along with her offspring, can theoretically produce hundreds of thousands of cockroaches in just 1 year, without any pressure on them, no control, pesticides, or anything like that. Okay, so to prevent a population from increasing, um, first off, you're going to have a pretty decent service frequency. That's why when we run into German cockroaches, we're going to want you to go ahead and start calling for biweekly follow-ups until we get a handle on that. Okay, so if you're running into German cockroaches in an account, or if you're getting started on an account that's got German cockroaches, you want them on biweekly follow-ups as a minimum, just to keep ahead of that growth curve, keep pressure on them until we're able to completely eliminate them. Next up, German cockroaches detect and avoid many insecticides. Okay, so I mean, specifically, we're talking about repellents. We don't really want to be laying down repellents for them, which is going to rule out a lot of products. Most insecticides, sprays, and dusts are repellents to a greater or lesser degree. Um, if cockroaches are repelled from a treated surface, they are not likely to contact the insecticide long enough to pick up a toxic dose. So also making sure to just be, with whatever you're using, you're treating deep inside crack and crevice voids where they're going to be. Um, if there's untreated harborage for them to escape to, cockroaches will be pretty resilient for you unless you're getting down into those cracks and crevices. Um, German cockroaches can develop resistance to insecticides. Okay. Um, when insects are exposed to an insecticide, the least susceptible are going to succumb to that pesticide, and the strong are going to survive, and they're going to pass that resistance on to their young. With combination with how formidable their reproductive abilities are, their ability to reproduce, paired with that behavioral feature of theirs where they're able to resist pesticides, strong are going to survive. They're going to pass that on to their young, and they're going to develop somewhat of a herd immunity to the product. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand that when you're looking to control German roaches, because as you're coming in on your follow-ups, you need to keep a rotation of different insecticides that you're using in order to prevent that, and essentially, keep them on their toes. Um, which we'll talk more about that later once we start talking more into the different pesticides that we have available and how we want to rotate those in and out. German cockroaches spend most of their lives hidden and protected. We're going to get more into that in the next slide, so I'm not gonna bear down on that too much. But German cockroaches do prefer cracks and crevices. Conducive conditions for German roaches. Um, so that's going to include food source, moisture, and harborage. Knowing that's going to help you during your pre-treatment inspection. If you're wanting to get control over German roaches, you're going to need to know where to find them. So cracks and crevices. Um, German cockroaches spend most of their lives hidden and protected in these cracks and crevice kind of area. For every cockroach that you see in plain view in the daytime, there's likely hundreds of them hiding inside walls, sealing voids behind cabinets, inside appliances, that sort of thing. German cockroaches' favorite location is inside that narrow crevice with his antenna extended out. Typically, prime locations are going to be cracks between cabinets and walls, the flange underneath the kitchen sink, the space in the door jams, and typically they are going to hang out in kitchens, bathrooms, things like that. They've got to have a water source, they've got to have a food source. So, outside of that, be looking for that moisture. That doesn't necessarily mean they're only going to be in the kitchen. They could be anywhere, depending on the conditions. Um, so it's important to just keep an eye out for those conducive conditions. Um, so that's going to bring us to monitoring on the inspection side of thing. German roaches, depending on what caste, male, female, nymph, what you're dealing with, they're typically only going to range about 6 foot from their primary harborage. Okay, so this is what makes monitoring so effective, especially when you're on an account that you've got on biweekly follow-ups. You know, so what you're going to do, you're going to take these monitors, especially if you're having issues with sightings, you're having a hard time getting an idea of where the harborage is, where you need to lay things down. You're going to spread these monitors out. They're little glue traps. They fold right together. You can put them just about anywhere, and start throwing these things down. And then as you're coming back on your follow ups, you're going to be able to go to your monitors. And if you've got catches on your monitors, you've got a couple of roaches. Well, then you've got a harborage within 6 feet, and you know that you can go ahead and lay it down in that area and probably do some good. Um, so yeah, use monitoring. Spread them out in the kitchen, spread them out. Put some in the bathrooms, just kind of keep tabs on things, and that's going to be really helpful to you in your follow ups and getting that situation under control as quickly as possible. Um, that's going to bring us to making notes. Let us know what's going on out there. I mean, even when it comes to your pesticide usage, I mean, I know you've got and this goes for paper reports as well as when you get started in the app. You've got your standard markups for how you're doing your pesticide usage, your percentage, your gallons, method, probably crack and crevice is going to be your method. Come down into your notes. Be more specific of what you did. I know you told us in the general that you were that you were laying it down in the kitchen, but where'd you put it? Did you crack and crevice under the sink? Um, did you go in behind the dishwasher? What did you do? Let us know. You can't be too detailed. You cannot be too detailed. Which brings us on to the next point, quality recommendations. If you're seeing moisture issues, if you're seeing food source issues, crumbs on the floor, that's competing with your food source. It is our job to let that customer know, hey, these conditions are contributing to the issue and making it more difficult for us to gain that control that you're paying us to get you to. So it's just as much our job to let customers know what they can do different and what adjustments they can make, what repairs they can make to their home to make things better, to make things less conducive. That being said, you're on follow-ups at a house. You've already left the recommendation on the last time that you were there. You don't feel like it's necessary. It is necessary. Keep on laying down that recommendation, every time. Tell them verbally, send them emails, but most importantly, write it up on the service report. Write up that recommendation, every time. I don't care if it's the fifth time straight that you've been out there that you've written up the recommendation and they're still not abiding by it. That's what covers you. That's what covers us. Um, when they go to voice their complaints about your lack of ability and want to leave you a bad review, um, we're going to have that in your corner, stating everything that you've done in specific detail and every recommendation that you've made that hasn't been followed. So just it's good practice. Just do it. Okay. Um, that's going to bring us to our next slide. Products recommended for German cockroaches. Okay, we're going to start working our way down the list here. Nibor D. Um, this is a product that I've personally just recently taken a real liking to. It's really helped me out and get with German roach issues in restaurants. And it's just overall a really good product to be laying down for German roaches as well as a number of other things. We're just going to talk about the benefits of German roaches here. Nibor D is a dust product, okay, and it's a borate would be the active ingredient in it, hence the name Nibor D. Um, a lot of you guys, I know you have bulb dusters and you're not familiar with how to use a bulb duster for dusting. I know we use it for we use these bulb dusters for for a number of applications, mainly granules. Used to running your entice granules. The bulb duster for the purpose of putting out dust is really better when it has all the attachments on it. I don't know if you guys have dusters that have the proper attachments that go down into it. You know, they could have gotten lost or whatever because you don't really use it for that because those attachments aren't useful for spreading granules. Um, so if you're needing another bulb duster that has everything that it needs for actually putting out dust, go ahead and put in an order for that with Cheryl. And she'll get you set up with one. But here's what you do. I mean, basically, Nibor D is going to come in a tub. You're going to put it right into the bulb duster with your dusting attachments, intact. And you'll also want to, I like to just slip a dime in there. For when you're shaking it up, it just kind of helps you. It kind of helps break everything up and keep that fine dust coming out. So typically drop a dime down into it, and that goes for any kind of dust going into a bulb duster. That's just a good little tip to keep it working functionally. So Nibor D goes in, twist everything on there. Make sure you got a nickel or a dime or something down in there to kind of break that dust up when you shake it up. Shake it up real good, and then you're gonna start putting out dust. Of course, you don't want to be applying Nibor D to surfaces and things like that where people are going to be around the baseboards, crack and crevice, shoot it down in drains. That's gonna be great when roaches are coming to water. They're going to get affected by that, and also Nibor D is just great for treating drains with. Um, hit in down around appliances, things like that. Crack and crevicing around the baseboards. Good product for that sort of thing. Also, you can mix Nibor D up right in your BMG and lay it down as a liquid. I typically like to cocktail it with a few things, maybe Gentrol, Phantom, Alpine WSG, something like that. So we'll just go ahead and move on down to Gentrol source points. Gentrol source points kind of come in like a puck, and it's got a little tab on it. You're going to break that tab and lay it down. It comes with a little sticky pad so that you can kind of secure it to surfaces. And basically, what a Gentrol source point is going to do is it's something you can lay down when you can't really spray. So it's good for putting under a sink or something like that. Maybe you got a dog or a kid in the house, and you're not really wanting to lay down a liquid. Gentrol source point's a good thing to turn to if you're wanting to get that IGR in there. And speaking of which, if you don't know much about IGRs, go ahead and give you a brief description of that. You might be somewhat familiar with insect growth regulators because we do use it for fleas with a product called Precor, which Precor is something that you want to use for German roaches, basically. So what an IGR is it's a insect growth regulator. It's a chitin inhibitor. It's going to prevent that insect from reaching adult maturity that they would need to be at to continue to reproduce. And that is what makes it so important to involve an insect growth regulator in German roach treatments, because that's going to put a stop to that formidable reproduction process that they have. So Gentrol source points, you crack the tab, secure it to something. You want to make sure these are tucked away. You don't want a dog to get into something like this or anything like that. So make sure you're putting it in a responsible place when you're putting it out. Um, but moving on to Gentrol, this is just going to be the standard Gentrol liquid. I'm typically going to be mixing this up with either Nibor D or Alpine WSG. Maybe if I get froggy, I might throw some Phantom in with it. But so Gentrol goes right into the BMG. Maybe throw in some other products there with it to kind of cocktail it up. But Gentrol, I mean, if you're wanting to just get the IGR down and you're not really wanting anything else to interfere with your baiting, just throw the Gentrol in there. Now, when you put this down, this typically is going to get German roaches moving around a little bit. So just kind of communicate with your customer on that fact. But like I said, I don't need to go into what it does. I kind of covered that with the source point. This is the liquid version. Hit you some baseboards and cracks and crevices with Gentrol. Um, Phantom. The reason Phantom's involved in this is because it is classified as a non-repellent product, which is what we want to stay after when it comes to doing any kind of application for German roaches. So Phantom can be useful. I use it rarely. I'm normally going to stick with either Nibor D or Alpine WSG. So moving on to Alpine WSG, that stands for water soluble granules. So this product actually comes in a bottle. You mix it up in water is what you're typically going to be doing with it and spraying it through your BMG. Alpine WSG what's great about this product is it's got a nice broad label on it. It's safe for a lot of uses. It's really good, and that's why I really like to use it for an interior treatment kind of setting. So Alpine WSG, great product to maybe to mix up and hit some baseboards, and get some good knockdown along with your baiting and not interfere with your baiting. Okay. Um, and then the list goes on to mention all these different kinds of baits because that's what we're mainly here to do for German roaches. I mean, this is a huge part of your treatment, especially in a residential setting. It's just going to be baiting for these German roaches. We've got a list. We've got a couple of different roach gels here, and that's because you want to keep rotating that bait as you're coming in from your follow up. So as you're coming in, especially when you start getting involved with the app, you should be able to look into the notes on what was done before. So if you're showing up to rebait a house for German roaches, maybe you're pulling up that slip and seeing that you were using Abby on there the time before. Might want to use Vendetta on this next one. Might want to throw down some Avert. But let's just start at the top here with Avert Dry Flowable. Avert Dry Flowable is just it is a roach bait, but it's kind of in a powder form, so it kind of goes down like a dust. So you can really get this stuff in. I love to put this stuff, behind appliances, behind the fridge, in little cracks and crevices and things like that. That might be, hard to get gel bait down into those areas, and you kind of want to blow some dust back in there. Not to mention, they just love Avert Dry Flowable. It's just all around a really good bait. I'm always incorporating it with a German roach treatment. So Avion Roach Gel, that's just your standard death by ingestion kind of roach bait. And keep in mind that these German roaches are social. Okay, so they actually do pass food amongst each other. They eat each other's feces, and those are valuable ways that you're going to get your bait to effectively kill multiple roaches. Is the fact that they are social. Um, Vendetta roach gel bait, also death by ingestion. A little bit of a difference in active ingredient there. That's why we're incorporating it along with the others. Vendetta Nitro gel bait. I believe Vendetta Nitro has fipronil in it. I'd have to fact check myself on that. But what I do know is that it does have an active IGR in it. So that's just yet another way to get insect growth regulators into this roach population. So Vendetta Nitro, I mean, I pretty much always start with Vendetta Nitro when I'm laying down my first treatment for German roaches, and then I'll start incorporating other things from there. Typically, I'm going in with Vendetta Nitro and a Vert Drop Floatable. That's just my personal preference to get things kicked off and get things started. Max Force pucks, again, just another bait to throw at them, but Max Force pucks are useful for a couple of different reasons. It's pretty convenient. You can just plop down a station anywhere where you're suspecting activity, and that bait, what I love about it is that it's nice and protected. I'll wind up using it in a lot of moisture heavy areas that I'm wanting to get some gel bait into, because that puck kind of protects that bait. So yeah, that is definitely something that I enjoy about the Max Force puck. Outside of that, I do intend on doing a little bit more, a little bit more of a specific video in regards to these products, and a little bit more hands-on of a video of how to mix it up and how to apply it. I'm hoping to get some kind of in the field videos out there for quick reference for you guys, so that this stuff is just easily accessible to you guys, and you know when you forget it later, you'll have something to come back to. Um, so that pretty much wraps it up for German roaches. I plan on putting out a few more of these, and you guys just let me know what you think. Let me know if you thought that this was helpful, not helpful at all, whatever. So I appreciate you guys, and keep up the good work.